Hi everybody. My name is Amin Reina. I'm a investments coach here at Sage Investors, and welcome to my very first edition of Stock Talk on New Year's Eve 2015. And thought I'd spend a few minutes as we are now closing the books on 2015 on a couple of things that we all might need to keep in mind as we end the current year and begin a new one in terms of from an investment perspective, and give some tips from people, some things people should be considering doing. Basically, I look at it things right now. If you're a type of person who's who has been investing and has been investing in stocks and has developed working with a financial advisor and has developed an investment plan, there's a few things you probably should be doing right now. And one of the first core things is to basically, if you have an investment plan that you've put together with a financial advisor, it's a good time of the year now to read it, to reread it, to review some of the core principles and strategies that you've developed or your advisor has developed, to see if they still make sense, if they're still consistent with the goals that you're looking for. And because one of the things about investment plans or financial plans is usually the moment the ink dries, they kind of become irrelevant and they tend to gather dust and we tend to forget about them. So it's important to at least once a year or a couple of times a year have a quick look and revisit those your investment plans. Second of all, if you're kind of have a portfolio of stocks and bonds that you're investing in, it's a good idea to right now to just revisit what you've got in your portfolio, understand the type of investments that you're holding, types of stocks that you're holding, and take a look and see if holding those stocks make sense for your portfolio. Chances are maybe they've become overpriced or they're not performing well, and maybe it's a good time now to revisit some investment decisions about buying and holding or selling portions of your portfolio. Start of the year is as good a time as any to have that review, time for review. And finally, if you are investing in stocks, it's always important to check out your wish list. One of the things I do recommend, and I do work with people that I work with in terms of teaching them and mentoring them on how to make better investment decisions, is to always have a list of stocks that they would really like to buy, of well-run, managed companies, but they're a little bit too expensive. And it's really good to have a list always nearby at your disposal to review if those companies are in fact now cheaper and make a really good investment opportunities right now or in the near future. So it's always a good thing to have a list, and I tell people to have that list of stocks, companies that they want to buy at their disposal, whether they have it written in a paper format. This is actually my list. I have a list. I keep it on my phone. I keep it on my computer. I always have it at my disposal, so if market conditions warrant and all of a sudden some of these companies become interesting buys, that I'm ready to act on it. And because I've done my due diligence on these companies, it's not much of an emotional decision. It's more of a tactical execution kind of decision. So I always try to make sure you have a list. And so if you're investing, you're well into the concept of investing and holding stocks or ETFs in your portfolio, a good time right now to revisit what you've got in your portfolio and see if it still makes sense. Now, for those people who haven't done anything with respect to investing, who are just like at literally square one, and it's the start of a new year, and you think, okay, maybe I should start. As a resolution, I'm going to be much more of an active investor and buy more stocks and bonds and stuff like that. What do you do? How do you get that? How do you get that ball rolling? As we start a new year. And the first thing to do is, as I said, develop some kind of plan, some concrete financial goals that you're looking to achieve, and some strategies around that to help you achieve those things. And a fee-only planner, one who basically charges you a flat rate for designing an investment plan or a financial plan for you, is probably a good avenue to do that. And they'll work with you to identify what your risk preferences, your risk tolerances are, and give you a bit of a roadmap to kick things off. As much as financial plans are important, I think it's a good thing to have just to have as a framework. I think that's one thing that's really critical and important that we all should have, is to develop some kind of investment ideology, some sort of guiding principles in terms of how you're going to frame an investment decision, whether to buy or sell a stock. And it's not about it's not about asset allocation, saying I'm going to buy 20% of US stocks and 20% of Canadian stocks. It's more about guiding principles of how the criteria that you're going to use to identify great companies, and the criteria you're going to use to determine whether you should be buying or selling those stocks. I can share with you, I'll share with you my investment ideology. And basically, every investment decision that I make involves essentially the following. Involves finding and identifying well-run, well-managed companies that create products and services that people want and continuously want, and buy those type of companies that have demonstrated a tangible ability to create tangible wealth, i.e. strong returns on capital that are greater than their cost of capital. They have clean balance sheets, and ultimately are selling at a discount to what their value is, to their intrinsic value. Every investment decision I make involves around that ideology, those set of principles. And whether the markets are red hot or in a bear market, I'm always every investment decision I'm doing involves that. Conversely, if I'm making a decision to sell a stock, my investment ideology would be around determining whether if I've achieved an acceptable rate of return that I was looking for in that investment, or a situation has occurred that I would call a negative game changer moment for a company or a stock, in that its business model has totally been upended or disrupted by another external force. Fraud has occurred in the company, people dying because they use of your product. Those are kind of negative game changer moments, and those are principles and guiding principles for me that will make me determine whether I want to sell a stock. So I think it's really important to have that kind of ideology ingrained into your investment plan, because ultimately, whether the markets are good or bad, your ideology is pretty much going to stay very sticky. It's going to stay very consistent with whatever market conditions are, and your investment plan is pretty much going to be adjusting a lot more on the go. So the great thing about having an investment ideology is it instills a great deal of discipline into your process, and prevents you from making decisions that are maybe more emotional and can really bog you up. Because one of the constant things that bogs us down as investors is the emotional side, the emotional aspects of how we make decisions. And so how do you develop an investment ideology or a framework type thing? Well, a lot of times it's working with an advisor, but mostly the best way I find is basically what I do as a coach, as a mentor, is I kind of work with people to kind of develop that ideology and that framework for how they make decisions. And it's something I do. That's what I do constantly. I spend most of my time doing as an investment coach. So I thought I'd share with you a couple of as I said, as we hit the end of the year, after our hangovers have passed through there, one of the things people will think about is how they want to approach the year, and with a new year, a new clean slate. And so for those who are investing actively, who have been investing actively, time to think about certain things, time to review and reflect. And for those who are thought about investing and are looking to get on the horse and start taking a little bit control of their financial decision making, it's all about developing a bit of a plan and a strategy. And start of the year is as good a time as any to start off with a clean slate and develop an ideology. And more importantly, then after you develop that ideology, to start educating yourself and learning about those components. And that's something, again, an investment coach is more specialized and can do that. So thought I'd share that with you. This was my first Periscope ever. Actually, I did one earlier in the year, but I'm hoping in 2016, as my personal resolution, is that I hope to be, as much as I tend to blog and write about a lot of investment related issues, I'm hoping to speak a little bit more. So I'm hoping throughout 2016 I'll be on Periscope, try at least get on here a couple of times a week and talk about various investing issues that I'm seeing and that I'm facing personally, and I'd love to hear if other people out there are running into those kind of dilemmas and questions and challenges. As I said, my name is Amin Reina again. I'm an investment coach at Sage Investors. You can follow my tweets. I tweet constantly, daily, on all of the various market movements and my own personal investment decisions that I face. You can follow me at Sage Investors. If you want more information about my coaching services, you can check out my website at www.sageinvestors.ca. That's about it. Wishing you and all of you, my friends out there, happy New Year and all the best for 2016. And let's go out there and make some cash. All right. Have a good day.